great basketball player. And his grades were in order. He had like an 84 GPA going into senior year. I think he only had to complete about 2 or 3 classes, and he was done. He was ahead of the game.
He was 18 years old, a model student, and a stellar athlete. But on a Wednesday night, just hours after a game, Haylett Jr. was shot. He died the next day.
I was with him the night that he passed. And after the game, I congratulated him and I said, "You want to grab a slice of pizza?" He said, "Sure." So we went to grab a slice of pizza locally around 8 o'clock. I went to watch the Knicks game and about 10:40, I received a call. And someone told me to check Facebook. And I saw all these rest in peace Caval. I'm confused, I'm shocked. Like, what are you talking about? I was pretty much one of Caval's mentors. We worked together on a personal level. He just confided in me in terms of just day-to-day, routine and schedules and things like that. And we just kind of communicated on a regular basis. We would do different activities, whether it was educational or sports. So whenever I go to a basketball game or go to like a basketball court, or just going to a park, things that we would normally do, this is a little, cliche in a way, but honestly, I think about him every day.
Me and Cole are like best friends, so, you lose that person that you go to and that, is there for everything. And then because we have a kid together, that changes a lot. I was 8 months pregnant when he died, so, he never got to meet his dad, and I didn't have, someone to go to, that could help. And so I'm, a single parent now, doing everything on my own, trying to raise a little boy.
What happened to him, I don't want that to happen to my children or anyone that I know or anyone else in the community, honestly. So, I think about him on a regular basis, and it affects me personally. Actually, I am looking into pursuing an opportunity to work closely with the City of Poughkeepsie Police Department and a few other agencies locally that are geared towards stopping gun violence.
I was really angry because him passing was due to other people's, trauma and stuff like that. And so I was really angry at the people that, the people who did shoot him. I was really mad at them because it was like, if you weren't around him or if it wasn't for your petty drama, he would still be here.
The best way to maybe cope with this situation? I'm just more passionate about what I do. The kind of work that I do now, I provide services and assistance to every and anyone in the community, whether they're homeless or just regular citizens that need support with maybe finding housing or employment.
I feel like now, like every day I try to do something like, because, I doubt that day he thought that would be his last day, and he probably, if he could be here, he probably would change something that he did that day.
Mentally, I'm okay though. I'm handling it, and I'm doing the best that I can moving forward to make sure that I have an impactful role on this not happening again, and this not happening to another child in the city of Poughkeepsie or anywhere around our community.
There was a lot of things that he wanted to do that he never, has a chance of doing now. So a lot of the things that I knew he wanted to do, I try to make sure I do or his kids experience. So.
When that happened to one of our sons or, one of our children in a way, you get emotional and you get passionate and more aggressive in the journey to kind of correct some of these issues.
I had to learn to find another way. Me being angry didn't help anyone. It wasn't doing anything for me, for him, or anything.
For me, it's, I have a saying, I have a motto that I follow: faith, family, football. So I just try to stay active and busy within my regular routine.
Now I just take that anger that I had and I push it to other things. Like I put a lot of energy into events for him now. I had the mayor make September 9th, which is his birthday, a Poughkeepsie's own Caval Day.
You just try to stick to your routine and not let, negativity or bad experiences overwhelm you. Just try to be positive and try to do the best you can to actually help the situation moving forward and find a solution to the problem.
Trying to make sure his name is out there and he'll always be remembered in Poughkeepsie. So I took the anger and I, traded it in for something better.
Inside the house, it was an absolute mess. It was a house that had simply a pathway to walk through the house, and garbage was piled waist high throughout the entire house, just about in every room. Anything that you can think of that humans would normally throw away, it was just left in a pile. Actually had where the corpses were on the upper floor in the attic, and they were kept in barrels and kiddie pools where they had leaked through the ceiling. The ceiling tiles actually were rotting and starting to fall from the rotting corpses above.
He was always a quiet, reserved type of person. He didn't socialize very well. He didn't blend in with a lot of the people on the athletic teams anyway.
He was a huge guy, but he was not seen, really. He was just sort of this silhouette. And similarly, his victims.
I knew Kendall Francois as a suspect in the case of missing prostitutes, which turned out to be a case of murder of prostitutes.
Spider and the Fly by Seattle author and journalist Claudia Rowe. The book chronicles the unraveling of a serial killer, but more than that, it tells the story of Rowe's own conversations as she's locked in this unusual and frightening relationship, non-romantic relationship with this killer that goes on for years.
And Claudia Rowe. My name is Claudia Rowe. I corresponded with Kendall Francois for 4.5 years. I was at the time a stringer for the New York Times. Interacting with Kendall Francois eventually made me have to face up to the questions of why was I doing this? And I really did know why I was doing this. I had wanted to understand cruelty. That was what initially impelled me toward reaching out to him. And I really wanted to understand what had motivated the people in my own childhood and high school years who had treated me cruelly.
As a police officer, I've always evaluated situations very carefully and have made a lot of decisions cautiously because of my training. The case was unique in a way because it spanned a long period of time, and the fact that Kendall had been brought into the police department a number of times and spoken to by detectives, very seasoned detectives, and he was able to keep them at bay long enough for him to continue to commit these acts.
The career path that I was in, I'm not sure that his situation had that large of an effect on me. Probably if I saw more of the actual details of the crime and were involved in the crime scene itself, it maybe would have been a little bit more of a shocking thing to me.
I began to become quite consumed with the idea of how does this happen and why exactly. I really wanted to know what would it be like as sort of a regular person interacting with somebody who is deemed other or unreachable or unknowable. At Attica, where he was not shackled and we were just sitting next to each other at this tiny little card table, during our conversations, all the fear that I had when I would speak to him on the phone or receive his letters, which that fear lasted through all the years, but when I would sit face to face with him at Attica, then I wasn't afraid anymore and get like right up in his face and say, "What do you mean? What do you mean by that?" And that even surprised me that I would get so close to him and get in his face.
There have been times that I've interviewed people that I treated it differently and questioned them deeper, because the times that Kendall Francois was questioned, he was very convincing about not having any knowledge of any of the crimes that we were investigating.
He was a complicated, tortured, miserable person. And that eventually led me to look back toward the people in my own life and understand them in a more complicated way.
Tears at a funeral, I might break. Angry at all the things I can't change. When you're lost in the universe, don't lose faith. My mother says your whole life's in the hand of God.